Howdy everybody, I'm Braden with EG4 Electronics, and I have here today a game changer in the off-grid space, the EG4 12000 XP. Now, this off-grid inverter is way more than just two 6000 XPs put together and in one single box. This has a 24 kilowatt usable solar input. That means max AC output at 12 kilowatts and max battery DC charging at 12 kilowatts simultaneously with a sizable array. Now you can put up to, we recommend 28 kilowatts of solar on this thing, of nameplate rating solar, to get your full 24 kilowatts. But the output of this thing is absurd. It can handle everything that an off-gridder needs and has to offer, as well as it has a couple of additional things to make the off-grid life that much more comfortable. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and see what we got in store. And of course, standard with all of our inverter offerings, we have our mounting template. Now this is what you would put on the wall to visualize where it would take up space in your wall system and be able to accurately mount it and put all your bracketing up nice and easy. Now here we have our Wi-Fi dongle, of course, contains your serial number and pin to access your Wi-Fi dongle on the EG4 monitor system. And of course you can use this to hook up to EG4's monitor system for remote monitoring and remote configuration. We have as well mounting bolts, screws, and some additional, looks like maybe some spare screws for use within the inverter. And then we have some L brackets and our back plate for mounting on the wall here. Let's go ahead and set these back in and we will pull off our top packing. For the big reveal underneath. Here we are, the 12000 XP. Now, it comes with some cables for communicating with your battery using closed loop. You can use this to hook up to an EG4 battery, whether it be a wall mount or server rack. And then, of course, it has paralleling cables for putting your system. If you have multiple 12000 XPs, you're able to hook them together using the paralleling cables and run an even more powerful system. Make sure there's not some more stuff here on the side that around, and let's go ahead and pull this off. Now we can see here on the top, before I pull this fully out, we have a couple of breakers that come pre-installed on the 12000 XP. Similar to our 6000 XP, it includes some switch gear to make life a lot easier when implementing this, as the off-grid lifestyle tends to have a lot of different use cases for inverters like these, and it's very convenient to have the switchgear built in so you can install it in a variety of different ways. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Now we can see here on the back where the mounting bracket would sit, and then there's also a thing down here that would align it with the wall. All right, I got this thing out of the box. It is pretty heavy. I would recommend two people or one very, very strong person installing this. It's not as heavy as some of the inverters out there, especially not ones with, massive toroidal transformers, but it definitely packs a punch, and you can feel that whenever you're picking it up. Let's take a look at some of the things on the side here before I crack it open. We have, of course, an RSD built in that can activate TRSD with the EG4 battery systems. We have, of course, our EPS, or our power switch is right here. The EPS outputs on the other side. This is our power switch to turn the inverter on and off. We have ventilation, of course. And over here on this side, where we have where our Wi-Fi dongle plugs into, and the filters for the ventilation that you can actually unscrew and clean out as needed for maintenance if your inverter needs that. All right, as you can see here on the wire box, unlike the hybrid inverters, our off-grid inverters have a screw-in style wire box, so that way you can install it and with all the breakers inside, leave it be. But we'll need to take out these screws to access the initial installation wiring, so let's go ahead and do that. We have 2 screws on this side, and I believe we have 2 on this side as well that we'll need to take out to be able to unslot the wire box cover. I would also recommend using a real screwdriver and not a Allen key with a Phillips head on it, as it gives you not nearly as much torque, so it's a little hard to get these out. So we're about to pull off the wire box here. One more quick thing to note is that the outer switchgear has these protective cases that have screws on them, so that way you can actually keep them tied down, but they do also have a latch, so if you unscrew that, you can pull that off. But let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have on the inside here. It has little tabs for aligning in and making that tight, but here on the inside, we have, of course, our big old RSD. We have our typical load grid generator connections, our PV input right here. It looks like we have 2 inputs per MPPT, and that will intake a lot of solar in order to get you up to 28 kilowatts of nameplate rated solar. We do also have a new addition to our off-grid systems here with the smart load port, if you can see that right here behind this kind of protective covering. That smart load port on our off-grid system allows you to control something like a well pump that you may not want to utilize your power all the time, but if you happen to have some excess power that is running in your system and is going to waste, then you want to make sure to utilize that. And the smart load port being integrated in the 12,000 XP is an amazing way to do that. Now, you won't have to take up your gen port anymore for that smart load. We do have a separate gen port right here. The smart load port has a 63 amp breaker on it, so you'll effectively have up to 50 amps of usable smart load on there with this breaker. The load output breaker is 100 amp rated breaker, so that's probably about 90, I believe, of continuous output. Now, over here as well, we can see it's kind of hidden in the corner, but we have our battery positive and negative connections here. We have 2 points of contact, so 2 terminals for each wire that will allow you to put in, your smaller wiring, but have multiple connections, so you don't have to run and bend very big, heavy wires to get that 250 amp connection up in here. And then, of course, there's a breaker to protect the circuit, but also to be able to turn it on and off. And lastly, we have our connections over here for paralleling inverters, which you'll see here, and then our battery communications for using closed loop, say with an EG4 system. That's where you can use these cables and input them on here for connecting to batteries or other 12,000 XP inverters. There are also some contacts here for remote RSD or for dry contacts, auto starting a generator, and so on. But for the most part, this is all very well labeled and should be pretty simple in terms of the plug and play aspect that an off-gridder may need to get the system up and running in no time flat. There's also a manual, of course, for the 12,000 XP that will have extensive information on installation as well as use and configuration. So I would highly recommend referencing that for ensuring what you can and can't do with all of these connections. The 12,000 XP was designed around the needs of off-grid users, and we plan to deliver on that in spades for you. Check out my demonstration video in the link below to see this unit handle a 5-ton AC and 7 kilowatts of continuous load simultaneously with no sweat. And visit EG4electronics.com for more information on this product. Again, I'm Braden with EG4 Electronics. Thank you so much for watching.